Okay, so I'm Jackie, and because I've had people tell me you need to say who you are, so this is I'm Jackie. I live in Weaverville, North Carolina, and I want to work through with you why your weight fluctuates up and down when you're in a weight loss program. And you're sticking to it. So we've talked about so far, this is video number 5. So far we've talked about the difference between fat loss and weight loss, and how the scale is not necessarily the best indicator of whether you're losing fat. We talked about the number 1 cause of weight fluctuation, which is water retention, and the first part of that we talked about sodium and the role that sodium plays in that. So sodium is part of salt, so sodium chloride, it's the part of salt, and where sodium lurks in the foods that you're eating, so that you can control that if you're wanting to see the scale go down. And then we talked about, so video 4, we talked about carbs and how carbs actually hold on to, for every gram of carb, you're holding on to 3 grams of water. So again, it's part of the water retention. It's not horrible, it's just what happens. So we're going to move on to the next part of water retention, and that's kind of crazy. So sometimes when you start working out, so when you're losing weight and you're starting to feel better, and you'll hear from me, okay, let's add some exercise into what you're doing. Let's, get your body moving. It'll increase your metabolism. It'll make you feel better. It gives you dopamine, which is going to increase your mood. It's gonna make you fit, so that you're going to be putting on some muscle instead of just dropping fat. And we do all that kind of stuff. But sometimes what happens when you start working out, you'll see a little uptick on the scale, and you think, ow, what in the world's going on? And then your first response is, oh, I'm putting on muscle. Well, not if it's the first week. I mean, muscle gain happens slowly over time, and you will see that. And we'll talk about why it's better to have muscle than it is to have fat when you're looking at the scale. But what is really happening is your body says, your brain says, it really doesn't say it. I don't know how to explain this any other way than making my brain talk. So your brain says, oh, she needs more energy. He needs more energy because he's working out. I need to store more glycogen in the muscles. So let me back up a little bit. When you eat a carb, it gets broken down into glucose, and glucose is a blood sugar, and it's what your body uses to fuel you. You need it for your brain. In fact, the ADA, one of those people, says that you need to have at least 120 carbs every single day in order to fuel your brain. Your brain uses blood glucose. You want to be able to think clearly, so don't starve yourself of carbs. Anyway, but when you're working out, the other place, let me back up. When carbs are broken down and you don't use that glucose right away, it gets stored, and it gets stored in 2 places. The primary place it gets stored is in your muscles, because that's the biggest area that needs to get going. You need that to walk, to sit, everything. You need your muscles to work. So it gets stored in your muscles, and then any extra gets stored in your liver. So when you're inactive, you don't need as much glycogen stored in your muscles. It's stored in your liver, and if you don't use it all up, it's going to turn to fat. But we'll go there in another video. But so you have this glycogen stored in your muscles, and when you start to work out, you need more glycogen in your muscles, because that's where your muscles is going to get it from. That's stored sugar right there, easy access. So you start working out, and your brain says, oh, she needs to store more glycogen in her muscles because she's working out. She needs that energy. And so, we talked about how, so glycogen is part of a carb, right? It's the breakdown of a carb, and how carbs, for every gram of carb, you're holding on to 3 grams of water. So what's happening is you're holding on to more of that glycogen in your muscles, and so you're holding on to more water in your muscles. And so you're going to see maybe an uptick on the scale as your body starts to hold on to more of that. Does that mean you're gaining fat? No, it does not. It means your body's holding on to fuel because it knows you're going to need it. It's holding on to it in easily accessible form. So but then it's going to stabilize, because you're going to have that same weight, right? The uptick is going to stay there, but you're going to be losing fat. You're going to be continuing to get fit, and so then you're going to see the scale go down again. You'll see it tick up again if you increase your workouts, if you start doing some weight training. All those things are going to cause it to tick up temporarily. It's a temporary tick up, so don't get discouraged. Don't go, well, I'm working out, I should be losing more weight. Yes, it will happen. It will happen eventually. You need to give your body time to catch up with what you're doing, because your brain goes, oh, she's never done this before. What are we going to do? So hang in there, stay with it. That uptick on the scale when you're working out is not permanent. You're going to see it go down. Hang in there. That's all I'm going to talk about today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about something else. All right.